Hey guys, so a little over a year ago I made a video and it was this is the best month to buy physical gold. You can see it here, it is still on the channel, and if you want to scroll back and have a look then you may. I have got some gold here today as well, of course, but in that video I basically made a list of the lowest gold prices in each month, and I ranked them. So I used from 2007 to 2023 at the time. This was obviously released at the start of 2024. So in this video, I said that the best month to buy physical gold depends. But when we look at this sort of rudimentary method of calculating such a thing, and I go to the ranking, basically January was the lowest gold price most of the time by quite a margin, followed by July and so on. We can also see that the fall later in the year was the worst time to buy, so they tended to have the higher prices. So this year I just had a quick look, and what you can basically see here is I gave them a score of 1 to 12. So whichever was the lowest got a number 1, whichever was the highest got a number 12, and obviously in order. So these are the lowest prices and so on. So that's how I worked it out. You can obviously watch that video if you want. But 2024 was an interesting year for many reasons. First of all, we had the gold jump up in pound terms by around about 35%. So not a bad year. Most things seem to have gone up. In the UK, house prices were relatively steady. No major moves after some quite big pushes in the sort of preceding years. So things like affordability, interest rates have affected that perhaps, but it hasn't really dropped so much in most places that I'm aware of. Maybe there are odd pockets where prices went down significantly, and obviously some where prices went up significantly as well. But you've got other assets, you've got things like shares. So various companies went up by various percentages. You've got obviously some companies double, treble, and so on. You've got other companies that went down. You've got other companies that did okay. There's so much variety in there. So it's hard to compare to stocks because it depends what you're actually buying. If you were just buying the S&P, then I think gold did slightly outperform in pound terms over the S&P, but it's not something I've compared exactly. I don't invest in the S&P as an index so much. So I know it was around about 27-ish% near the end of the year, but I don't know what it exactly closed on. So gold has done pretty well, 35%, like I say. There are obviously a million other things you can put your money into. Some will have done better, some will have done worse. So for 2024, in pound terms, January was again the lowest price of gold. Just by a whisker though, like literally by pence, less than a whole pound, to February. So February actually did okay. This is my sort of, like I say, my scoreboard, if you like, and the order. So February there is, into the middle. It's like the back end of the podium, tied up with June, August, and there it is. So January was again the cheapest month. December was also again the worst month. So November, September, October, and December, those last four, they were the four worst on my averages, and again they were the four worst this time. So by that I mean they didn't have the lowest gold prices. Obviously the gold price was on a bit of a bull run, just kept going up and up and up through the year. So bar a few years where, a few weeks and a few months where there was like little dips, it was basically trending upwards. So in terms of this video that I made last year, I did mention some various caveats in there. So things like the dealer's premiums, they're not necessarily static. Also the availability to gold, so perhaps if your dealer runs out of stock, then you wouldn't be able to buy necessarily at the very lowest point of the month. And also my rudimentary figures were based on you buying at the very lowest point of that month. So for example, you might have bought some in January at a higher price than you bought in February, because maybe in February you got the bottom, whereas in January you bought the top, and so on. So it's a bit unusual to see the gold price doing such a large return, relative to gold. 35% is quite a lot for the last few years especially. So obviously nice if you're holding it, but if you're trying to buy more, then for some people it's a bit of an inconvenience. I'm picking up the quarter ounce Tudor Beast, which I've got here to show you today. I am also picking up the 1 ounce currently. I will have the Panther to show you in the near future, and obviously just picking up nice sovereigns as well. So yeah, in terms of what we will look at next, I've got a few different videos coming out over the coming weeks, and some are just going to be looking at some beautiful coins that I've picked up. We'll have a little look at and a bit of a review of what I bought last year. Also looking ahead what I plan to buy for the coming year. So various videos, and obviously if you have any ideas, or if you'd like to see me do a similar video for dollar terms, or perhaps comparing different assets, then let me know. But yeah, like I say, the various caveats that I mentioned, January being the cheapest month doesn't necessarily mean you will definitely get your gold cheaper than any other month. Obviously in 2021, I think it was, January wasn't the lowest price, so there were years where that was an exception. It's just my average, and obviously I'm only looking sort of over the last 2020, was it 2007 when I started looking? So yeah, it's not comprehensive. It's a selection of, well, it's all of the last years, but it's a small selection of the years of, if we could have more data going back like 60 years, then obviously that would be more interesting. And also bear in mind your currency might be slightly different. So if you're in dollars, then it might be a little bit different to what we had in pounds, due to obviously currency fluctuations. But yeah, I'm interested, what do you think was the cheapest month for you to buy gold? Did you get a particular bargain at another time of year, or was your best purchasing done in January? Did you hold off and wait for the price to come back down and end up not buying anything, or did you go all in at the top, or what did you do? Let's talk about it in the comments. Look forward to speaking with you, and we'll talk soon.